Our first speaker is Dr. Hank Donahue. He is with the College of Engineering the Department of Biomedical Engineering and a co-director of the Institute for Engineering and Medicine, all at VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University. We are also joined by Frank Boast of VCU as well. And both of them are going to talk to us today a little bit about the Institute for Engineering and Medicine. So without further ado, I'm going to pass the stage to you, Hank and Frank. If y'all could unmute, put your video on, and feel free to share if you have slides, but the stage is now yours.
All right, thanks, Nick. Can you see my slides?
Yes, sir. Go ahead and make them full screen. There you go.
All right, thanks a lot. And thanks for allowing Franklin and myself to talk to you folks at RVATECH. It's really exciting to get involved with you all. I'm going to go over, I'm the chair of Biomedical Engineering Department at Virginia Commonwealth University, and I'm going to introduce briefly what biomedical engineering does in the College of Engineering and what sort of things we're interested in. I'm also co-director of the Institute for Engineering and Medicine at VCU, and Franklin, the other co-director, will spend some time talking about IEM's mission, and I think what will emerge is that IEM very much overlaps with what biomedical engineering does. So I've been at VCU for just under 5 years. I came from Penn State College of Medicine, and I've been chair here, as I said, for about 5.5 years. So I'd like to start with a little background. Last summer, the department undertook the first development of a strategic plan that has ever been done in our department at the College of Engineering. And this was a 2-day event, but then throughout the summer of last year, we developed a strategic plan after this event. And it was a very ground up approach, and with faculty contributing ideas, and we had an external consultant come in and help us do this. I bring this up because what came out of this strategic plan was a new mission statement for the Department of Biomedical Engineering. And it was this vision statement and mission statement, but mostly the vision statement was a bit of a surprise to me. It's not something I would have thought of, but it really fits in and makes sense for what we want to do. And the vision statement is on this slide. It says, our vision is to transform Richmond into a premier hub for biomedical innovation and education. And this is something that's going to take a really long time and probably won't happen, certainly not my tenure at VCU, perhaps even my tenure on this planet. But moving towards this goal will really improve what we do as a department, both research-wise and education-wise. And the reason this vision came up is because we know that it's hard to place, for instance, our undergraduates in internships locally because there's not a big biomedical engineering or biotech presence right in Richmond. If we had that, we could attract graduate students and faculty and enhance our education and research infrastructure. And as I said, this is a big step that's going to be very, very challenging. And what I hope I get out of this talk is soliciting some people to help us do this. But I think it's doable because I was an undergraduate student in San Diego in the late 70s. And in the late 70s, there was no biotech industry whatsoever in San Diego. But through a concerted effort of the universities and the biotech industry around Southern California, they created this really great space now for biotech. So if San Diego can do it, Richmond can do it. On the right side of the slide are some of the initiatives that came out of this strategic plan. And the important initiatives are in green here, and that is to lead. Number one is to lead in the creation of a health engineer research and innovation hub. We want to support the Commonwealth Cyber Initiative. We heard yesterday how important cyber is to the economy in Richmond and Central VA. And then we want to support pharmaceutical engineering in the pharmacy. Obviously we heard a lot about Medicines for All and Flow and the great work Dr. Gupton is doing, and we want to try to support that to the extent we can. So we really have a really diverse faculty. We have 22 faculty whose research focus areas span all the way from the cell and molecular, looking at how molecules within the cell sense stress and strain and how this affects cell behavior. We do a lot of cell and tissue engineering. We focus on tissues. This happens to be bone tissue, which is something I do research on. We do a lot of animal studies, mostly on mice and rabbits, but we also do human studies in our rehabilitation space of our department, where we're working with people and helping them to rehabilitate from stroke and other neurological problems. So we really literally have faculty that are working from the cell level all the way up to working with human subjects. These are the focus areas of our research: rehabilitation and human factors engineering. That's, as I said, developing exoskeletons and other ways to help people rehabilitate from brain injury, stroke, etc. And also it involves how people interact with their environment and how we can make the environment around us easier for people to interact with. We have a strong focus area in man-machine interface. That is how, obviously, men and women interact with computers and machines. And so, for instance, how one can, through brain electrodes, for instance, control a wheelchair, for instance. We have a strong focus on medical devices. Barbara Boyen's lab is developing orthopedic and dental implants, as well as several other groups. We have groups looking at tissue engineering and regenerative medicine, how we can use biomaterials to create novel biomaterials that will stimulate tissue regeneration and are useful in regenerative medicine. And another area we're very strong in, possibly one or two places in the country that are really strong in this area, is the mechanobiology disease. We have a National Science Foundation, REU, which is a research experience for undergraduate students in mechanobiology disease. And we have pending an NIH-funded graduate fellowship in mechanobiology disease. And I think of the areas that I'm talking about here, perhaps the least familiar to the audience will be mechanobiology of disease. So I want to show a slide that describes what I mean by the mechanobiology of disease. So this is the mechanobiology of cancer. So the really bad part of cancer is when it metastasizes. That means it goes from a primary tumor, like the breast, to another area, another tissue, like the bone. And in order for a cancer cell to do that, it has to get into the circulation. And it has to get into the circulation, it has to what's called intravasate and squeeze through a layer of cells that line our vasculature. And then it also has to squeeze out extravasate to get out of the vasculature. Clearly, whether the cell is squishy or tight and hard to squish will determine how easily that cancer cell can or cannot get into the vasculature. So the mechanical properties of the cell, its squishiness or how hard it is, dictates how metastatic is. So this is an example of how mechanobiology, the mechanics of a cell, can affect a disease, cancer. And there's lots of other examples. COVID-19 effect on the lungs is a function of changing how lung cells expand based on changing their mechanical properties. Osteoporosis, losing bone as a function of age, is a mechanobiology disease. So we're very focused in this area, and it's an emerging area that not a lot of people are focused on, or not a lot of university groups are focused on. So within our department and within indeed the college, we have a lot of resources that we're very interested in making available to any collaborators, whether they be other universities or other companies. This includes our nanomaterials core characterization facility, which is really a lot of state-of-the-art equipment that can measure material characteristics, includes electron microscopes, it includes micro CTs, all sorts of things to characterize different materials. And that's available right in our department and in our Institute of Engineering for Medicine. We have a lot of individual faculty labs that have strong intellectual and physical infrastructure, and they have a strong desire to collaborate. We have a very strong funding base. Our faculty are funded by NIH, the Department of Defense, NASA, National Science Foundation, SBRIs, industry, and different foundations. So we're a really highly funded department, and that enables us to develop collaborations. As you learned yesterday, we have a new engineering research building, and most, but not all of BME will be moving to the top 2 floors of that building. The building has been designed to encourage convergent collaboration, especially with industry. So this is going to give us the space to really establish significant and impactful collaborations with our industry partners. We have a biomechanics core, which is sort of a niche area, but if you have to do biomechanical testing of anything, we're able to do that. Importantly, we have a series of well-developed senior design projects and program. This is an opportunity for our industry or medical partners to present a project to our student that they need some engineering design help with. And our students are all required to, as the seniors, take part in this senior design. It's part of their graduation requirements. And it's a really a good opportunity to have students working on specific problems for specific clients. We also have a vertically integrated program, or VIP program, which is just like the senior design, but it's not just senior students. It's all the way from freshmen and sophomores up to seniors, graduate students, and maybe even postdocs, all working together to work on a project and build leadership skills in working on projects. Importantly, the IEM has supported Health Hacks, which is a yearly program where students get together for a weekend and solve different medical problems or biomedical problems each year. And perhaps what the greatest strength, not perhaps, for sure the greatest strength that we have in BME is our students. We have outstanding undergraduate students that are keen on getting internships. They're keen on getting jobs in Virginia. As you learned yesterday, our students largely want to stay in Virginia. We have outstanding graduate students. The BME department's graduate program was rated a top graduate program in the country by US News and World Report. So we have outstanding graduate students and undergraduate students. And I encourage you to take advantage of their outstandingness. And then finally, we've already established collaborations with several companies and entities within Central Virginia and outside even. And we're very much interested in establishing more collaborations. So we have students that visit Embody in Norfolk, Callao, Hemashire, Tapanogen, which is right here in Richmond. We have individuals from all of those companies, including Stryker, speak to our students and let them know what being an engineer in industry really is. We have a relationship with Stryker. I mentioned Sheltering Arms, Caretaker Medical, Medtronic, LifeNet, UNIS, and obviously institutes and centers throughout VCU. So we're very much interested in expanding these lists of collaborations, whether it's through internships or having you all come and speak in our classes, or developing research collaborations. And through these sort of collaborations, I feel that we can get to our vision of creating a biomedical engineering hub here in Richmond that I think all of us would benefit from. So that's all I had to say. I can be reached through here. Franklin's going to tell us now about the Institute for Engineering and Medicine, and then we'll take some questions if we have time after that. So thank you very much. Franklin, it's you. I'll stop sharing, sorry.
Okay. All right, a bit about the Institute for Engineering and Medicine. Dr. Donahue gave us a very nice overview of biomedical engineering, but most medical devices and medical technologies encompass the multiple disciplines we have in engineering. We also have computer science, we have mechanical engineering and nuclear engineering, we have electrical and computer engineering, and of course, chemical and life sciences with the pharmaceutical engineering subset with the medicines for all. The Institute for Engineering and Medicine can be a gateway for you in getting in touch with any of these different units. Just a bit of a background, it's been around for about 10 years. It is a VCU chartered institute. We currently have 25,000 square feet, 3 major senior laboratories, Dr. Boyan's and Swartz laboratories, Dr. Donahue's and Dr. Wynn's, and it encompasses a nanocharacterization center, which has about $15 million worth of analysis equipment in there. Our basic mission is to bridge and convergence of different disciplines, engineering, medicine, physical sciences, but really academia, clinical industry, and agency, federal agency relationships. They're all of those are all have their own technology, have their own focus, and someone needs to blend the talks together and collaborations. My background was basically in the medical device industry with some large and small companies for over 35 years. Also taught development at Georgia Tech before coming to VCU. So what we're trying to do here with the Institute is enhance the center-to-center collaborations within the university and then connect with industry also in advanced clinical deployment of devices and pharmaceuticals. We have awareness of the FDA and ISO regulations for manufacturing. We can't fill out a 510K for you, but we can tell you how to do that, provide some services on doing that. And really the objective is to advance patient care in the BioTech growth segment in Virginia, as Dr. Donahue talked about. Bioimaging is a very hot topic across the university. Mechanobiology, as Dr. Donahue mentioned, rehab engineering. We have connections with CERSI, which I'll speak of. Health informatics is huge. It's a very broad field. And then device development and innovation. Bench to bedside pathway is a term used by the Wright Center. You may be familiar with bench to clinical or bench to bedside. That's basically bench to clinicals. And I wanted to point out that really this is what it takes to go from an idea, a need, and the basic research through the development process of identifying, identifying the engineering and development. And that can be, if you think of vaccines right now and all the work, they're actually doing this engineering development, not just basic research, but it's applied research. So it goes through all these steps, concept review, writing their specs, doing the bench testing. You have to really look at the market and the intellectual property as part of a development package, the financial plan, where's the money coming from? How much do you need, where the money's coming from? Hopefully in the end, there'll be some financial return for either the government or the companies or the investors. Always have to consider regulatory pathways, and that should be considered early in the development process, and reimbursement. You can develop something, get it through the FDA process, but if the Center for Medicaid and Medicare don't approve it, or CMS for reimbursement, that's really half the medical use of an item. And then the typical things that businesses have to deal with is a startup and growth in the business. We're in phase 2 clinical studies with a lot of vaccine. The government has already let out a significant amount of money for actual scale up. So they're jumping ahead and trying to speed that process. Here's a list of our affiliates: Rehab Sciences, or CERSI, the Wright Center, Emergency Medicine, Innovation Gateway and VCU Ventures, the Da Vinci Center here, Massey Cancer, Schools of Nursing, Pharmacy, and Medicine. Also the Vice President of Research's Office and the Nano Characterization Center. And I'll point to the things on the right side of your screen. The lower portion is a quick view of a secondary prototype of a ventilator, emergency ventilator, that was developed with a team that involved, came out of emergency medicine, but a team from virtually all of these systems. And the one at the picture at the top is a picture of a more refined item that actually went on to animal testing. So some key takeaways here. I've heard the terms biotech, biomed, health tech mentioned, academia, clinical, industry, diagnosis, patient care, patient outcomes, and certainly prevention, such as the vaccine we're developing. And hopefully you can connect with, we'll connect with IEM to help you with your devices out there and your product development, your company development. So we can be a gateway for these resources, faculty connections across all of our disciplines. Hank mentioned the interns and co-ops. We have Capstone VIP program, and the hackathons, not only with health hacks, but we have RAM hacks, and we have earth hacks, environmental things, and the ECE, which brings in other departments. So in conclusion, last slide. Here we are. Thank you. And I put both of our emails in here. Thank you, Rick.
Well, thanks so much, Hank. Thanks so much, Frank. We appreciate it. That was our first lightning talk of the day. So thanks so much for sharing your knowledge and your expertise with us.